talk about vitamin D2 or D3, मिल्क पे ग्रीन डॉट लगाएंगे कि रेड डॉट लगाएंगे? अगर आप मिल्क को ग्रीन डॉट दे सकते हैं तो विटामिन D3 को आप रेड डॉट नहीं दे सकते हैं. So these are important points on which nutritionists should stand unanimous. We don't want to get into controversy because sometimes we contradict our own policies. One nutritionist makes it, another nutritionist contradicts it, third one literally sabotages it. So we should talk one simple language which is straight. Rice should be same as atta. Condiments we are working on. There's a WHO committee which is working on world condiments. हम तो बहुत चटनी खाते हैं, अचार खाते हैं. So these are condiments are accompaniments, and spices are spices. And then these are staples. We can talk of zinc and vitamin D. It is likely to get into the Gazette very soon. And globally, bread and breakfast cereals are there. So if you do your maida and you make the bread made nationally for breakfast cereal, that bread should be fortified. It is a staple. If it is a fancy cake, Black Forest in some private bakery, we're not interested whatever they do with it. But they should. And if they do, they will have a better sale because their product is nutrient rich. Vitamin A, it is mandatory for these many countries. In the absence of educated consumers, mandatory fortification of one or more processed staples is there to meet the RDA. At least 10 to 30% is by these countries. But we generally do fortification at 30 to 50%. So vegetable oils in India, it is a mandatory fortification for vitamin A and D in the safety net, vitamin A at 25 IUs, vitamin D at 1.4 IUs. So vegetable oil is absolutely clear. It is already there. Milk, it is a mandatory one. Vitamin A at 600 micrograms, vitamin D at 3.4 micrograms. The issue is that of fortificant, and they are debating on this. So vitamin D, only vitamin D part is on this thing. But if you put vitamin A and D, these are both fat-soluble vitamins, they react with the poly pack of milk. So you require a superior technology, and if you put it in a Tetra Pak, the cost increases. So one needs an appropriate technology, and let's work together tomorrow to solve some of these issues. So what is the relevance now? This is my last slide. Fortification, growing relevance. We've had supplementation programs, and supplementation program is a drug-based concept. You give a tablet, 2 lakh IUs, 10,000 IUs, weekly dose. Those are drugs. As a nutritionist, if you were to do efficacy of this and you want to do a field study, you have to go through the clinical drug trial control study. It will never go through your ethics clearance if you are just doing a routine efficacy of supplementation, because it is taken as a drug. It's a medicine that one is consuming 6 monthly, 1 monthly, that's a different issue. In a WIFS program, weekly. So even that is a drug approach. So supplement is a drug, fortification is part of normal diet. Anemia is still uncontrolled, and if you give WIFS to the adolescent girl, she keeps the tablet under her tongue and spits it out in the dustbin later. That's the truth of it. For those who are even doing supervised intake of the tablet, ensuring 90 tablets to go into the mouth in 100 days at least, or a weekly program, ask the school teacher, she has a tough time with her in her class in terms of discipline to administer this program. So this drug approach will not work in our country. It has not worked in 66 years. Until unless you justify your title of your today's seminar, food-based approaches. So in a normal diet, fortify the corrective nutrients, and that continues with the normal food approach, continue on diversification. What nutrients rich are present in the foods, that you continue to educate. That iron is present in this, vitamin A is present in this. That food diversification you will teach anyway. But fortification looks like closest to a normal diet in an uneducated country. Don't pop a tablet into their mouth, they are very scared of it. And in uneducated population, you can't teach anything. You just try teaching anemia. I do a baseline of anemia awareness to the BSc first year students, and I know how much of nutrition they were taught in school. You can try it and you can come to your own conclusion. IDD should be rapidly controlled, could be rapidly controlled by a mandatory fortification. So when iodine was mandatory, all other salt was removed, there could have been a movement, but that brought about a huge success. Although the success is not complete. And with fortification, where it is only 30 to 50% of the RDA added, you will still have a gap somewhere. So there will still be issues. You may not be able to combat completely. But if you look at any other European and Western diets, they are on fortified food, they don't eat large quantum of food, and they do not have any public health nutrient problem. So most of the markets in the world are fortified food. The problem in India is we don't take shelf food. So we need to have more appropriate convergence of thought. So fortification is a cheaper option. Vehicle is still food and the approach is still food based. Food security is of paramount importance and it is safe when you make 30% to 50% RNI through fortification, and you can still continue to have your 3 major programs on food security, and that is supplementation, that is a drug approach, and fortification, which I've just talked about, and food diversification, talk about improving bioavailability, talk about vitamin C to be rich in a iron-rich diet, 20 milligrams to be consumed in every meal. Make your own guidelines. Nothing else changes. You just have to fortify the food to ensure adequacy of uneducated population. Thank you.
Spoke about fortification, the different vehicles and at different levels, how fortification is being done, and I'm sure it has become, given you a very clear-cut idea about how food fortification can be and should be used as one of the important strategies to overcome micronutrient malnutrition. Can we have some question answers now? Or at the end? It will be better to have it at the end. Okay, so thank you so much, Dr. Sidhu.
Thank you so much.
So I can now invite our next speaker, Dr. Pooja Talikoti, who will be talking on combating iron and iodine deficiencies, food-based approaches and supplementation programs. Dr. Pooja Talikoti is currently the professor in the Department of Home Science at University of Rajasthan. She has been teaching for last 30 years and she has undertaken 23 research projects with different national and international organizations like UNICEF, UNFPA, World Bank, DWCD and NRHM. She has her keen interest is in community nutrition, and that's why all her work has also been focused on the problems of nutrition related to the communities. She has many papers published in national and international journals and attended a number of seminars, conferences, workshops, etc. So I give the mic to Dr. Pooja Talikoti.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks a lot, Binaji. I feel so proud that one of my senior colleagues is the chairperson for my session. Thanks once again, Binaji. And today is my presentation. I'll be covering 2 micronutrients, iron and iodine. And both of these, the focus will be on public health nutrition problem. I'll not cover the therapeutic doses of iron in the treatment of the disease or hypo or hypothyroidism and thyroid examination and others. Mainly the focus is on public health nutrition. Therefore, to begin with, I'll start with the iodine, and we all know that iodine deficiency leads to iodine deficiency disorders. It is a spectrum, and it is a very important public health problem, and it is required for the normal body growth and mental development, especially the mental development among young children, and its impact is so much, and right from development of the fetus in all ages of human being. So iodine deficiencies thus directly affects the human resource development, which in turn influences the productivity of human as well as the national development. Now, regarding the rationale, yes, IDDs are permanent and incurable. This is the real sad part, that once occurred, it cannot be cured, especially the brain damage that occurs in infants. However, all these can be easily prevented before they occur, and the simplest method is, of course, promotion of consumption of iodized salt, that is daily 150 micrograms per day. And the word daily I have put in caps lock. I would like to quote a small incident which happened during IDD week in the school. It is 8 years old incident. When we told them कि iodine requirement रोज का एक सुई की नोक के बराबर है, and in the entire lifespan only 1 teaspoon of iodine is essential. So one student of 7th standard got up and said, "Ma'am, क्या हम एक चम्मच खा ले और जिंदगी भर आयोडीन की कमी से मुक्त रहे?" So it was really striking for us, and then we started focusing that it is a daily requirement right from fetus till the death. And this is the most ineffective and inexpensive mode of prevention of IDD. And looking at the magnitude in our country, more than 200 million are at the risk of IDD, more than 71 million are suffering from IDD, different spectrum, and surveys conducted have shown in our country, not a single state and union territory of our country is free from IDD. And we all know the consequences. Right from schooling we are learning that it can lead to miscarriages, stillbirth, brain disorders, retarded psychomotor development, speech and hearing impairments, and depleted levels of energy. And it is the single most preventable cause of mental retardation worldwide. And these are the few pictures of the goiter and how to do the goiter test in the field, and pictures of cretinism. Then, in spite of this, according to the NFHS data, there are 23.9% of the population still consuming uniodized salt, which does not have iodine in the salt. And there are 25% of the population which are consuming inadequately iodized salt, that is less than 15 ppm, and only around 51% are consuming adequately iodized salt, that is 15 plus ppm. This is NFHS 3 data. Now coming to what are the strategies that are available today for this particular prevention of IDD. We have the revised guidelines for National IDD Control Program. This has been implemented in order to prevent, to control, and also to eliminate these disorders. And they provide assistance to set up an IDD cell and nutrition cell for the monitoring of the IDD program, and also to control the quality of iodized salt, and also to conduct the urinary iodine excretion, which is such an important test to assess the current status of iodine status in an individual or population. And surveys, and this program also has the provision of conducting surveys on IDD. Health and education activities are also being supported through this program. And trust me, it is more than 25 years I am working with the IDD cell here in Rajasthan, and also associated with the only Salt Commissioner's office here in Jaipur, and we have it here. And if we compare the IEC material of all the 3 micronutrients, vitamin A, iron and iodine, maximum education material we have in IDD at different levels, whether you name the shopkeeper, retailer, the consumer, the IDD cell, the professionals, the government, and for the academicians. At every level we have so much of IEC material, publicity material, and it also, all these material are supported through the national program. Then we have production of salt and salt iodization. India is the 3rd largest country in the world after China and USA, with annual production being 230 million tons. Our country is self-sufficient. We have enough of iodized salt to meet our growing population, And Rajasthan is the third largest state producing apart from the other states. We have beautiful Sambar Jheel, Sambar Lake, where one can witness the production of salt and also the iodization in Jaipur. And there are so many nodal agencies. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare is a nodal ministry for policy decisions regarding the national program. We have the Central Nutrition and IDD Cell at DGHS, whose responsibility is to see the proper implementation of the national program in different states. The Salt Commissioner's office is very much here in Jaipur, and the only office in the entire country which comes under the Ministry of Industry is responsible for giving license for the production and distribution of iodized salt, and they have come up with such excellent guidelines for each level. If you want to take license, what are the procedures for the production and for the distribution. And every state has an IDD control cell which carries out surveys and monitors IDD program in the state. Here also in Rajasthan, in Jaipur, under NRChem, we have the IDD cell, but only during the IDD week, that is 21st October, doctors become sensitized about this issue. Then we have the USI, as our earlier speaker ma'am has said. This is one of the very good strategy at that time accepted, that the entire population with an effective and affordable safety net for the production, protection against the brain damage, which is very common among infants and young children. But again, the reason for the performance of USI in India, these are the sources of the Salt Commissioner's office: lack of political commitment. Since I consider this as an in-house, IDD is not sensitized area of the doctors and even the government officials working in the health and nutrition programs. For them, the priority is chikungunya, malaria, dengue, sterilization, family planning. And namak kya hai? Namak to namak hota hai. It is taken so lightly, but yes, they are not sensitized. And lack of perceived incentives for the salt supplies to produce and trade only iodized salt for human consumption. This is again a big factor, especially in Rajasthan. We have so many small salt producers, and they have not been streamlined and they are not being sensitized. There is no incentive. The food inspectors, they really make so much, they trouble them to such an extent, and absolutely there is no incentive, and low demand from the community. Even today in the community, they do not demand for iodized salt. Among the well-educated houses also, we have done good number of surveys. The way in which salt is kept in the households, including the professor community, the way in which it is handled, it is very, very poor. Therefore, community has to be sensitized regarding the demand for iodized salt. Yes, now look at the huge list of achievements in IDD. Lots of work was done somewhere between 1990 to 2000. We have self-sufficiency, enough of iodized salt to meet the requirement. Awareness has increased. So much of awareness is there. Yes, as morning the chief guest was telling, गांव की हर महिला जानती है कि हमें iodized salt लेना है. But why still the demand is poor? Why the consumption is poor? Here awareness has increased, but also always we blame the production people that it is not adequately iodized. But even if it is iodized, at the household level also education is very much important, because कई बार हमने we collected the salt samples of well-to-do families, उसमें आटा भी मिला, chili powder भी मिला. So how we are going to handle and store it, and what is the healthy cooking practices regarding addition of iodized salt? These awareness has increased. We have lots of IEC material. We have salt test kits. Everybody is aware, and it's you can trust that just by adding a drop, we can come to know whether the salt that we are consuming has enough of iodine or not. We have ban notification. If any retailer, shopkeeper is selling non-iodized salt, we can have penalty. That person can be put behind bar. But in spite of ban notification, we also have International IDD Day, which almost every home science college, it celebrates IDD week somewhere in 21st October. And we have the USI policy, we have the operational guidelines, and we have 20-point program of the Prime Minister. We have national and regional laboratories. Here in Rajasthan, in Jaipur, we have huge laboratories in the Salt Commissioner's office, where anybody can go and test the salt by titration method. We have the nutrition IDD cell in all the states in India. We have packaging guidelines, especially the smiling logo, which is an identification of iodized salt. We have double fortified salt. We have financial budget. Khub paisa hai, kharch nahi hota hai, it goes back. In spite of all these, only 50% of our population is consuming iodized salt. This is really pathetic, friends. In spite of so many achievements, then why? Where can we go forward? What researchers, home scientists, nutritionists, because today we have a huge group of budding nutritionists and budding home scientists. So how we can, even the researcher, intercollaboration with other departments, checking iodine levels of the salt with wholesalers, retailers. We have done this huge project in our department only, and coordinating with the food and civil supplies department. This is everywhere in every state, how we can coordinate with them in monitoring the iodized salt at the retailer level, creating demand at the community level, monitoring the consumption of iodized salt, and the best method is urinary iodine excretion, and conducting IDD surveys. मेरे ख्याल से it is almost more than 8 years, no survey in Rajasthan has been conducted regarding the magnitude among the various districts, and conducting training. This is one big development which has occurred in Rajasthan. In every training program, whether it is Panchayati Raj, family welfare, or medical doctors, paramedicals training, we have incorporated a topic on nutrition where focus is given on micronutrients including iodine. And dissemination of IC, as I told you, lots of material there, this can be disseminated and used as a tool for the education. And improving the performance of USI. Political commitment has to be there. Yes, they are. And how nutritionists, home scientists can make a place in these government meetings and push our nutrition and place it, that is regarding the consumption and monitoring of the iodized salt, and considering successful projects in many Gujarat state and in West Bengal and even in Rajasthan. School children have been used as a change agents, and simple like ask the class monitor, give the kit, and all the children can get the salt samples from home. It can be tested and told. And in Rajasthan, this was very successful. Women dairy cooperatives, they were involved, self-help groups were involved, and they prepared salt packets, iodized, and they were selling in a very low price. And this is a very successful strategies in Rajasthan. And free distribution of iodized salt for the tribal blocks of Rajasthan, and of course subsidiary through the fair price shops for families, households who are below poverty line. Only by this we can achieve that India can become free from IDD, and we should ensure that 100% of population consumes iodized salt. And I want that everyone today should be really sensitized about promotion of the consumption of iodized salt, so that tomorrow we can say that yes, first we all are 100% iodized, and then only we can promote this. So this finishes a small note on iodine. And next is iron. I have given more time for the iron. The anemia is a complex condition, as we all know, low level of hemoglobin, the protein that binds to oxygen in the lungs and carries to all parts of the body. And this iron is one of the most tricky and complex because of the bioavailability and absorption factor. The absorption is as less as 2%, as high as 18%. And the non-vegetarian food sources, the absorption is better than vegetable sources. We all know this. Because of this, so much of research is being done, and it will continue, I think, for further 1 or 2 decades till we go for the fortification, because iron is most tricky because of the absorption. And 1.8% of GDP loss occurs only because of mineral nutrient iron. And we all know that IDD poses major threat to maternal and child survival. Maternal mortality rate is more because one of the leading causes, anemia, contributes to low birth weight baby. This is again from 33, it has just come to 30 in our country. Lower resistant to infection, frequent episodes of infection, especially among children. Poor cognitive development. This I really give high priority when we were promoting in Rajasthan the school-going adolescent anemia program. The chief principal secretary of higher school education said that हमें क्या फायदा है इससे. Then we told the attendance would improve, the retention would improve, the this attention span would improve, concentration बढ़ता है, school grade repetition can be reduced. So this is how we promoted in 2004. It directly has an impact on cognitive learning abilities of the children and decreased work productivity. Anemic women, we all know that the amount of time they take to do the work is very large, more when compared to the normal women. It also affects children, adolescent, pregnant and lactating mothers, and in general women of reproductive age group. Now the data also shows it is affecting the school boys and also the men. Therefore, for the control and prevention of IDA, yes, I do agree food fortification is the answer, but still today, I'm sorry to say that we have not come up with a national food fortification program. Very soon we'll be having that, as per Sidhu ma'am had told. But still we have to believe on both short term, that is supplementation, and long term dietary diversification. We have to have a multi-pronged approach to control anemia among our population. So prevalence, as ma'am had also showed, any type of anemia is 78.9%, which is a serious concern for us, especially the home scientist. And these are the few symptoms of the pictures of anemia. And Professor Ila Joshi, I would like to request, I have all the pictures of micronutrient deficiency. During your lunch break, you can share with the students. And what are the strategies now we have? Of course, food-based strategies, they are the long-term, excellent terms, that is dietary diversification and food fortification. We have the supplementation program, and for iron, also we have to have improved sanitation, control of parasitic and other infections like malaria, because we all know that these worms, they stick to the wall of the intestine and they suck blood and make the individual anemic. Therefore, in Rajasthan, I think in most of the NRHM states, they have started deworming periodic every 6 months. All school-going children, mebendazole is given, and this itself to a very large extent can help in improving the hemoglobin levels. So, but the appropriate selection depends upon the epidemiology of iron deficiency anemia, the cost, the feasibility of different approaches, and opinion and priorities of the community being served. As Sidhu ma'am rightly pointed out, when we launched the anemia program, school-going children, first question with the community raised was, ये गोली क्या हमें 2-2 साल तक खाना है, बच्चे को 2-2 साल तक देना है, हर हफ्ते एक-एक, and this was something difficult for us to answer. And then we changed the tone, it is a supplement, and we convinced. Then another problem that came was, it is a gastric irritant, and after midday meal, when the girls have it on empty stomach, they have irritation and they got admitted in the hospital. Then we created a local team of a nutritionist, of a medical doctor, a school teacher, and one of the social workers, so that that team can immediately attend if any reaction takes place. Therefore, definitely supplementation is a short term, and we have to depend on dietary diversification. So opinion and priorities of the community whom we are going to implement, their response, their perception has to be considered. And in dietary diversification, yes, to achieve this, food-based approaches may we have to concentrate on food preparation, and dietary practices must be considered, because iron is very low in cereal and tubers, especially potato, which is a good diet in Rajasthanis. And addition, therefore, we should recommend that some amount of legumes should be added to these foods. And the bioavailability is a big factor, as we discussed. Therefore, some amount of non-vegetarian foods, though not meat, egg and fish, as meat and fish, we can always add egg, because it is no more a non-vegetarian, because this really helps in the absorption better when compared to the vegetable sources. And consumption of vitamin C is also one of the factor which enhances the absorption of iron. So nutritional status thus can be improved by educating the households on food preparation and talk something about the consumption of those foods which have inhibitors and those which can enhance. Increase the intake of traditional foods. We can always, to the households, we can recommend them how to increase the intake of germinated pulses, fermented foods, processed cereals, fruits and vegetables, and cooking in iron pots or utensils, which over the years we have been promoting this, and not taking tea or coffee at the meal time. Bioavailability of the usual diets can be improved only by bringing about some alterations in the meal pattern, or to favor the enhancers, lower the inhibitors of the both. And the recipes based on local foods. I think in every home science college we have a practical and low cost nutritious recipes, but we collect so many recipes, but are they based on certain food habits, certain population where we can go and promote? Somewhere these recipes have to be recognized at the government or the policy level, and they need to be promoted, and lots work is being done in Rajasthan. Of course, I am boasting about my own state, though it is a national program. In Rajasthan, DWCD has come out with a recipe book where they have collected, Binaji is one of the members there, and all the recipes from different states of home science colleges have been compiled, and that is being used here in Rajasthan. Therefore, recipes promotion, which we can always do it. And which are those enhancers? Definitely the heme iron present in meat, fish, seafoods, poultry, vitamin C present in fruits, tubers, green leaf vegetables, cauliflower and cabbage, fermented and germinated foods. So how these foods can be promoted in the community at households, looking upon their local foods that are available. And inhibitors, definitely we should tell them that cereal grains, legumes and nuts and oil seeds, how they can be processed and inhibitors can be reduced, and discouraging tea, coffee, Coca-Cola or any cocoa products during the meals. Then of course the supplementation program also we have. The National Iron Plus initiative has been recently released last year, and they have developed the strategies, and they made it in a very comprehensive manner, taking into consideration the across the life cycle to prevent IDA. And the National Iron Plus initiative builds on the gains of the NRHM, particularly the strong network of more than 8 lakhs ASHA workers who are home visits. They go to the different households, and they are the one who become a link between the community and the service providers. And we looking at them, their excellent potential to mobilize them. This entire comprehensive program has come out, the National Iron Positive Initiative, which is a part of the National Anemia Control Program. Sorry, there are a few pics, this slide should have gone there. Let's go fast. Which are the iron rich foods? Jowar, makka, bajra, wheat, poha, murmura, black til, white til, chana dal, coconut, peanuts, lobia, kesari dal, split moong dal, sabut moong dal, roasted chana, soya bean, and citrus fruits, tomato, citrus fruits and other fruits and vegetables which are rich in vitamin C, tomato, carrot leaves, beetroot leaves, cholai, cauliflower leaves. This is really good, and we are promoting a lot to use the cauliflower greens, and hara dhania, methi, pudina, pan, sarson, radish leaves, potato, lotus stem. Many recipes our department has come up with the using lotus stem, and arvi ke patte, spinach, gooseberry, grapes, guava, watermelon, mausami, pineapple, chiku, lemon, raisins, egg, fish and meat. And these are the few recipes based on the iron rich food: til ke laddu, moong dal ke, murmure ke, peanut ke, stuffed parathas, upma, sprouts and dalia, raw salads. So those were the few picks, and in continuation of the supplementation, what this plus program has done is, initially we had the iron and folic acid supplementation of the pregnant and lactating women, and for children 6 to 60 months, and now they included all the age groups, that is which has been reviewed both from the administration point of view and compliance, which is so very important, whether the consumption has been ensured or not. And successful IFA program depends on the tablet supply, the delivery system, the consumer demand, the coverage and the compliance, which in turn reflects the impact. So all these factors are influenced by policy making and monitoring and evaluation. And as ma'am said, yes, in Rajasthan, the NRHM, Health and Family Welfare, has highly sensitized on the IFA program. And here the compliance as per the records is 90%, for which we really feel proud in the school going program. And This is the schedule that has been recommended under this Initiative Plus program. Where they have given entire package in one for children, adolescent girls, boys, a pregnant and lactating mother, and in schools it is given under the supervision of the school teacher, and out of school children and for other groups it is given through at sub-center A&M, ASHA or the Anganwadi worker. Now way forward, what we all can do, please my students and the young girls who are sitting, how individually, as a group, as an institution, we can do a lot, because I am a public health nutritionist, within the existing program, within the policies, how we can, because everything is in its place, everything is there in the system, how we can push them is promoting and strengthening of National Iron Plus Initiative and Sabla program, which has just come up. It is totally for the adolescent girls, and lots of emphasis has been given on prevention of anemia among adolescent girls out of school. How we can promote and strengthen this. And IEC on healthy cooking practices, though lots is available, but focused, looking at their cooking practices, how they do it, something on that, and iron-rich recipes considering the enhancers and inhibitors. This has to be taken into consideration while we promote the iron-rich recipes, and collection, analysis, or use of data. Friends, again, over 30 years, when we go to different conferences, read the abstracts, look at the poster session, free communication, and even whether it's dissertation or thesis, so much of work has been done on iron deficiency anemia. But how much this data is really being used, analyzed, and any recommendation has been taken, or any recommendation has influenced the policy makers or the program makers, this is important. The more we contribute to this, our research, then at least we can bring a dent in the program and we can look at the improvement. Analysis of the data, identification of those areas of nutrition and education which can support the program and policy makers. Then there is a need for operational research, that is to better understand how to integrate nutrition components in the existing programs, because nutrition cannot be separate. It is the baby of the entire total health, and health and nutrition are two legs of a school going child or any child. So how nutrition can be integrated. And here again I take one more minute. This morning the chief guest was talking about the SAM, severe acute malnourished children. Our state was the first to start a malnutrition treatment center through NRHM, and today we are treating so many SAM children in the hospital using the WHO protocol, operational guidelines for the management of SAM child. So this is something where lots of research was done on SAM, and we are giving inputs for that program, and how we can integrate nutrition components, how to reach young children, adolescent and women. And communication, this is a strong need. We have extension with us, we have FN with us, how we can develop a very robust communication strategy to plan and purpose of the program at multiple levels instead of addressing in general, how at each level we can focus. And this is the last slide of mine. I haven't used, I have already placed an order for this. In Tamil Nadu they have just begun non-invasive hemoglobinometer, doesn't need any prick. In the field it can be used, by the researchers it can be used, and I recommend that every department should purchase this in their plan. And this is needle-free anemia testing. I don't know how much error it has, because there is a lot of controversy between HemoQ and the Sinamid method. But yes, when it comes to the field as a public health nutritionist, one can use this instrument, because in Tamil Nadu this has been successfully used. So here I finish my presentation. Thank you.
Iodine and iron. And certainly, as you mentioned, there are so many programs, so many projects we have done, but even then we find that the prevalence rates of anemia and IDD are enormous. So basically I feel the awareness about nutrition and good nourishment is what is lacking in everybody. I mean, we read about it, we study about balanced diet and different nutrients in class 6, 7, but after that we just close that chapter and that's it. So even amongst an uneducated lot and also amongst educated people, I feel there is a lot of unawareness about good nutrition, which I feel as nutrition people, we should really make them aware about the balanced nutrition and not just talk about one or two, but the complete nutrition for good health. So now I will invite Dr. Sheel Sharma for his presentation on vitamin D, the sunshine micronutrient re-emerging from shadows. I really like the way he has given the title to vitamin D. Dr. Sheel Sharma is a professor of foods and nutrition at Banastali Vidyapeeth, Banastali University, Rajasthan. He is basically a biochemistry person, but then he got so interested in nutrition that he did his PhD in human nutrition, and he has been teaching nutrition and biochemistry for over, I think, 30 years or so at Banastali Vidyapeeth. He is the winner of Best Research Presentation Award Nutrition in the year 2000 at the Millennium Congress, Science Congress held in New Delhi. Very good, Dr. Sharma. And he has scores of research papers, projects, and he has written 9 books on nutrition and biochemistry. He is also involved with a number of programs with Rajasthan government, and I know his contribution has been immense in all these programs. I will now request Dr. Sheel Sharma to make his presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Revered chairperson, illustrious resource persons, members of faculty, students. I think we keep calling it morning because sun has not made its presence felt. Regarding this presentation, although masses, they are not getting this adequate vitamin D from sunlight, but its deficiency is stealing the limelight. So the reason for this presentation, and we begin from the basics. So we all know that human skin makes this vitamin D through the action of sunshine, and this involves photolysis process, and we have 7-dehydrocholesterol which gets converted into this vitamin D. And 7-dehydrocholesterol in turn is formed from cholesterol. So cholesterol, as we all know, is not so bad. It does very many good things. Then it is a micronutrient. We get it in the diet also, although the sources are very, very limited. We have this fish thing, this non-vegetarian thing, organ meat, egg yolk, and dairy products, and maybe some yeast irradiated, and some leafy material also have this vitamin D. And little bit about its history, McCollum was the pioneer, and he not only discovered this vitamin A, but also went to discover vitamin D in this fish liver oil. And he didn't stop at this. He also established the role of vitamin D, and it's ascribed to him this role, the classical role in calcium homeostasis, in skeletal mineralization. So these are the sources, and fortified dairy these products as well as breakfast cereals. So they also, in other countries, they also provide the bulk of this vitamin D, and probably we could also start this very thing. And then we have different forms of vitamin D. We have vitamin D2. So vitamin D2 we are getting from this yeast or from ergot leaves. Then this cholecalciferol, vitamin D3, we are getting either from animal sources as well as from this skin irradiation, and then it gets metabolized in the body to circulating form. And this circulating form we say calcidiol. This is 25 hydroxy D3, and this happens in liver, and then we have the calcitriol, 125 dihydroxy D3. And we also have a regulating form, this is 24-25 dihydroxy D3. This of course for students. And these are the some little chemical thing. So we have this cholecalciferol, this D3, and argocalciferol D2. I don't know, this indicator is not working with me.
Sir,
Yes. So we can see that this argocalciferol, this has this additional double bond and a methyl group, and this also gets converted to this D3 in the liver. And then in the liver, this is a formation of calcidiol, the circulating form, which has 4 weeks, this half-life. And then ultimately, whenever the need is there, this renal hydroxylation can convert this into this active form by having this another 1 hydroxylation. And this is the real active form, and this has a half-life of 4 hours. So majorly we have this circulating form which is there and which remains there for days together, for weeks together. Again, probably the same thing, and this is hepatic hydroxylation, then it is renal hydroxylation, and important thing is that this active form works like a hormone, and we all know that steroid hormones, they work with the concept of receptors, and we have this receptors of vitamin D, we call them VDR, vitamin D receptors, and these are present in the 3 target organs, that is in the intestine, as well as in the bones, as well as in the kidney. That is the classical thing about vitamin C. Hitherto we have been thinking about vitamin D, about performing this skeletal role. And we find that if vitamin D sufficiency is there, then the calcium absorption is at a high level, and it goes down when it is the other way. Again, this acts as a hormone, and in association with hormones. There is another hormone, parathyroid hormone. It gets secreted, and the impulse for this is low calcium level. And when this gets secreted, this causes the elevation of enzyme 1-hydroxylase, which converts this calcidiol to calcitriol, which is 125 dihydroxy D3, the active form. So again, this active form acts at the intestine to promote the calcium absorption. It also acts at the kidney to conserve calcium from excretion. And if still there is shortfall of calcium, then it also acts at the bone to cause some bone resorption, so as to mobilize some calcium, because we have to have the right level of calcium in the blood, since calcium is performing so many life-sustaining functions. Again, pictorial is the same thing here. So 70 hydrocholesterol getting converted to D3, then role of liver, then role of kidney, and then the target issue. These all are the classical functions of the vitamin D. Now for deficiency, the biomarker is a 25 hydroxy D3, and whatever vitamin we are getting either from sunshine or we are getting it from the food stuff, it is getting converted into this circulating form, 25 hydroxy D3. We also call it calcidiol, and this calcidiol levels, again they act as a marker. And we find that it becomes the best indicator for the detection of subclinical deficiency of vitamin D. Then cutoff values. So we have normal value of this 20 nanogram per ml of blood, but this value pertains to the skeletal functions of vitamin D. And now there are indications that we need much higher levels of vitamin D for other widespread functions of vitamin D, as we will see. And we find that sufficiency levels, they go as high as up to 100 nanogram per ml. And even more than 100 nanogram per ml, that doesn't cause excess. And symptoms of excess, they become palpable only when the level crosses 150 nanogram per ml, which again is most difficult, if not impossible. And then the deficiencies there are 3 states. And severe deficiency we have at a level less than 5 nanogram per ml. Then we have prevalence, and we have several studies. We have studies from Delhi, from Pune, and for all age groups. We have for children less than 5 years of age, and we find that in infants, the deficiency with a sample size of 98, it's as high as 86.5%. Then from Pune again, we find that between 2 months and 5 years, deficiency is no less, and it is 61.4%. Then for children and adolescents, we have a number of reports. We have reports from Delhi, then Lucknow, Delhi again, 2 reports. And we find, except for this study from Chandigarh, other studies, they are depicting this high level of this VDD. More studies for adults, we further find for even large samples, the deficiency is there for males, for females. Then from Andhra Pradesh, from Lucknow, and it's one can find that it's very, very widespread and it's very, very high. For elderly, we find deficiencies there. In Delhi, 91%, in Tamil Nadu it is around 50%, and in Andhra it is 82%. 2 evidences are there which speak for the role of vitamin D, which is extra to skeletal role. First is the discovery of vitamin D receptors in non-osseous tissues. So it has been found that in almost all the tissues, you name a tissue and there is you find vitamin D receptors. Similarly, second discovery has been the discovery of this enzyme, which earlier was found only in renal tissue. It has been found in all the tissues, this 1-alpha hydroxylase. So it means that vitamin D receptors are there in all the tissues. So vitamin D is acting in the cells of all the tissues, and since it is the active form is needed, so active form is locally formed, and it is not drawn from the circulation as it happens for skeletal functions, because this enzyme is there in the cells of almost all the tissues. So these 2 discoveries were stellar discoveries, and from this people could find, yes, there is a role which we call as pleiotropic or all-pervasive or widespread role of vitamin D. And numerous body processes have been found to have this role, and consequently this deficiency is increasing the risk of many diseases ranging from autoimmune, as we will see, cardiovascular and infectious diseases. And as we have seen, The status is very low in children, and not only rural but also urban. Then expectant mothers, the newborns, even the nursing mothers, elderly. So everywhere we find the deficiency is there. It is to say it is ubiquitous. So I again emphasize that this role of vitamin D in other tissues, non-skeletal tissues, it is local, and it is not like the one which happens in the three tissues in the classical role of vitamin D, and it is hormone-like role there. And here also the role is that vitamin D combined by its receptor BDR. You can say vitamin D receptor and its ligand. They move over to the nucleus and they interact with the genome and depress certain genes, and certain proteins are formed, and these proteins, they carry out the various functions. Oh, this is a pictorial presentation. So VDR comes into the nucleus, interacts with the specific locus, causes the transcription process to occur through this RNA polymerase, and in this way the different proteins are formed. So this deficiency hampers much more these non-skeletal functions, and the reason is that we require much more higher level of the circulating form of vitamin D, and that again becomes the aim for ensuring high levels of vitamin D, and to doubly ensure this task of vitamin D deficiency recovery. The role of vitamin D pertains to immunological diseases, including diabetes, asthma, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, inflammatory bowel disease, and this is through the reduced activation of acquired immune system. Then in various cancers through anti-proliferative and pro-differentiating actions. In infectious diseases, fetal health, cardiovascular diseases, type 2 diabetes and hypertension, through enhancement of the innate immune system. So as far as innate immune system is concerned, it is enhancement, and the acquired one, there is modulation. And not only it stops at this, it also causes the synthesis of a very potent antimicrobial peptide, cathelicidin or LL37, and that is why one finds that a lot of enhancement in tuberculosis cases, in cases of lower respiratory tract infections, and it causes a lot of mortality in children due to vitamin D deficiency. Now all these diseases, they are multifactorial diseases. We do not say that there is only one reason. There are a plethora of reasons, several reasons, but vitamin D action is again very, very important. We don't say that it connotes this deficiency clinically explicit disease, but it hampers certain things in the beginning. It is just like nipping the evil in the bud, and whenever there is some pathological stimuli, this vitamin D sufficiency can stem the rot there. Although these diseases will continue to occur, even vitamin D status is elevated, but the risk will be lowered. So we have to give this perspective to the occurrence of this widespread function of vitamin D. Then earlier we used to be very, very complacent. Yes, our country is in tropics and we get adequate sunshine, and there is no difficulty for getting this vitamin D. We don't have to worry about this nutrient. But we find that this radiation absorption, this ultraviolet V, radiation we need, and this depends upon latitude, on season, on time of the day, a number of other factors, the clouds there in the environment, the aerosols in the environment, and all such things. And it has been found that one needs to be there in the sun for quite some time, around 45 minutes, and if you break it even for a while, then the whole process goes awry. And this is very, very important. And whereas we think that we are in the sun for a few minutes, we are getting some vitamin D, that is not the case. And since it is a very difficult thing, so we have to ensure this either in food, or we have to go for some supplementation through fortification. Then there are difficulties. The test is very costly, based on radioimmunoassay or ELISA, costing as much as 1,000 rupees. Dr. Pooja was telling that she was charged some 2,000 rupees, must have visited some elite hospital. Supplementation again is costly. We have a sachet costing 30 rupees, a tablet 20 rupees, and the road is difficult. Then people have also thought of loading this vitamin just like vitamin A, but the endeavor has not been very, very successful. You have to have the maintenance doses along with it. And probably the reason is that whereas vitamin A can be stored in the liver, this vitamin D is circulating, although for quite some time we have circulating form in the body, but it needs a maintenance dose. Then these doses have been prescribed. We have low dose vitamin D therapy, high dose vitamin D therapy for some time, and then we have to follow it up with this low dose, and at least the 3 months time we need. For different levels we have this kind of dose regimen. And we find that in India already the infectious diseases, they have not gone. And these other diseases, non-infectious diseases, lifestyle diseases, they are really raising their ugly head. And it is a really double burden. We find that multi-drug